and young, dumb, and stupid for decades. And that's why so many record companies don't have a lot of older artists, man. Think about that. When it's like this guy going to the military. They don't want a grown ass man in the military. You can evolve to a grown ass man, but you got to come in young so I can indoctrinate your ass with my shit. You can't mold hardened concrete. You 40 years old, 35 years old, a private, and you see them shooting and bombing over there. They tell you run over there and take that hill. Man, fuck you. I'm not doing shit.
Hell no, sorry, sir.
No, sorry, sir. But when you a youngster and they pump all that, pump those different, hey man, simplify, blah blah blah, and you'll do things to prove yourself that when you're older, when you're older, you might not, you might double think that. My man, retired senior, said they had a 32-year-old in boot camp. Now, that's rare.
That's rare. That's definitely rare.
That's rare. But again, so the age limit is 32. Okay. So yeah, they know by the time you get 33, 34 years old, you ain't, well, hold on, man. You can't talk to me like that. No, you can't just get out of my face. Get out of my face. I don't want to hear that shit tonight. I'm going to bed, man. So all that right there is a factor, not only in the military, but in the music business. When you're in the music business, you are allowed into something that you only dreamed about. You didn't think that was going to happen. You were hoping it happened. But when you start to get behind the curtain and see all the glamour and all the glitz, and that you get blinded initially, then they pull off the goddamn sheet and you see what the real world is like. Oh my God, this shit can be horrible. Not everything is horrible. But you got so many egotistical, powerful people till you get Puffies, you get R. Kelly's, you get all kind of shit. And this is new shit. I don't know what they would do back in the day, but I'm quite sure it was just as bad as it was back then. And the question is, how bad do you want it? What you want to do to get it? I got it. What you want to do for it? I got it. I got what you want. I got a record deal. I got whatever. What you want to do for it? You can sing. I got 100 people that can sing. You cute. I got 200 that's cute that can sing. What you gonna do that they ain't gonna do? And that becomes the scenario. And hey man, that's what you're working with.
Yeah, I love these conversations about the music biz, Lonzo. Let's take it back to yourself. Speaking of contracts and things like that, kind of comparing it to Cadillac Records, but being that you were the one chopping down the trees and things like that, there wasn't many people, I'm sure. There weren't many people, I'm sure, who you could just go to and say, hey, can you help me out with this hip hop contract? Or, hey, do you know about how to put on a hip hop club? Or, whatever. When, or I guess I should say, who were some of the people that you maybe confided in, or how did you handle that business aspect of everything? Because you had the talent, but how did you handle the business back then?
Everything I learned initially, I had to grab and convert. GFD taught me the club business, but I had to take what he learned in the 60s, and the 60s and 70s, and convert it to the 80s and do it with kids. I mean, he talked about security, his thing was keep your dick out the cash register. Couldn't do that. I was fucking the cashier. That was one of the things I did not listen to. But it just became a bunch of conversions, man. Dudo taught me how to. Old man Dudo talked about distribution. That was one of the people. But I also learned distribution from working at Record Shack. And I learned another level of distribution from old man Dudos, and you had to just kind of you had to feel your way through, man. It's like the blind, you're blind. Somebody gave you a map, but all the landmarks ain't there. You got to figure out which one to take you over here. But again, because I was educated differently, I was taught critical thinking. I know how to think. I know how to figure things out for myself. So and then you always have that one ingredient that if you allow it to manifest in your decisions, Most cases you'll come out right. Even if you come out wrong, you'll feel better about the decision. And that's just simple common sense. That's just simple common sense. If you apply simple common sense, if you have that, and again, some people say common sense ain't that common, but if you have some way to apply some type of knowledge that that you feel comfortable with, yeah, you may make a bad decision from time to time, but at least you can look at yourself in the mirror. Sometimes people will sacrifice being able to look themselves in the mirror for some money. I ain't gonna do that.
Let me ask you, Lonzo. Going back to records back in the day, mainly singles. You had an A side, you had a B side. The A side was what you thought or what the label thought was going to be the hit, or what has already proven to be the hit, maybe from the streets or whatever the case may be. Flip it over, it's the B side. What goes into creating a song for the B side and actually putting that song on the B side, which would probably be the second most, I don't know, what goes into the B side record?
That's not necessarily, man. It all depends on the artist and the record company. If you're a small label, you may put another good song on the B side, and hopefully you'll get lucky and have a record that will push it, that will have some longevity, because somebody will buy the one side. Oh, this is a hit too, and to keep it going on the radio. If you got a little bit of money, you may put a throwaway song on the B side because you're going to come up with two or three more singles anyway. Okay, you may put like I say, or sometimes back in the day, James Brown, he would put part two. He would just put part two. Or our players, they put part two. If you had a slamming ass song, shit, part two would just be a bunch of instrumentals for 3 minutes. You only have like 3 minutes on a 3.5 minutes on a 7-inch anyway, and that's what I'm thinking in terms of 7-inch. Now, when you talk about doing 12-inch, usually all we would do, we would save it because we want them grooves to be thicker for the speakers. So we would just put an instrumental on the flip side. We very seldom put any of the songs on a 12-inch.
So the bigger the grooves, the louder it sounded in the speaker.
Better it sounds in the speaker. When you have a vinyl record, you have 22 minutes of sound on that vinyl record from the first time the needle drops to the label. It's 22 minutes. And when you try to squeeze 4 or 5 songs on that one side, you have to you can't cut the grooves that too deep because because you have to make room. You don't want your records, the grooves to be too deep because you don't want your record to jump over to the next track. It's like cutting the ditch. You cut the trench, and when they put it on the